Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat. I am here with, yesterday it was me and Dee. I believe the episode was called Dee and Me. And today it's Anand and me.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to alternate Murthys. And we're going to do a poll. And we're going to see who's the favorite.
It's Survivor. One of us is getting kicked off.
One of us is getting kicked off. Who's the Drake? Who's the Kanye?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll find out. We have a lot to talk about, Anand and I. And I think the main thing and the top topic is all things crypto. So we'll see where it's at when this episode actually gets posted in a few hours. But as of right now, crypto as a whole is in the shitter. Everything's red. It's in the dumps, Anand.
We're poor.
We're poor. So hopefully we're not anymore by 5 p.m. But as of right now, things are a little rough. We fell off a cliff, and I'm just curious about where it came from. So, of course, we're going to go to Anand, and we're going to ask him. Hope you're ready, Anand. You're responsible for this.
Yep.
Okay. That and many more topics to talk about. Oh, yeah. And by the way, we're on Discord now that we're big NFT guys.
Yeah, we had to go on Discord. One of the greatest places to talk all things crypto, NFT, finance, news.
Since we are experts now.
Yeah, we're trying to get everyone rich. And the group chat Insta handle will give a link to the Discord chat. We'll post it all things everywhere we are, social, bios. We'll all post it. And, it's time to get rich.
I agree. Jump on in there. And, that's where all the action's going down for NFT world. So it's only right that we partake. Check it out. Are we ready to do this?
Let's go.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have what you call a Battle of the Murthys group chat edition. Yesterday, we had me and Dee. Today, we're having me and Anand. And I want everyone to vote. Maybe we do a poll.
Yeah.
And we
Loser
see who
leaves
has the better
town.
episode.
Loser leaves town.
Loser leaves town for good. Goes to Austin. Because I have a feeling that I kind of have a feeling, Anand, you might be the people's champ with the audience.
I think I'm quietly what people like, but Dee is so vocal and
you're like Trump.
He's famous.
People quietly are going to vote for you, but you know what I mean? When 2016 came around and you're like, what the fuck? That many people like that guy? Yeah. That's, you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Maybe.
I think you're the favorite. So we'll find out. We'll do a poll. The other thing is we talked about you yesterday because I feel like you might be right again with your Drake forecast. You made a bold forecast that Drake would sell double the units of Kanye.
Yep.
And you're essentially from forecast, I think Kanye, we talked about, ended at like 350. Drake's projected for like 650. So for all intents and purposes, you might be right.
Sounds like a 2X to me.
Oh my gosh. I thought that was a little too bold.
Well, I think Drake just appeals to more people. Because Drake's all ages. He's the youth. He's people my age. He's probably people older than me as well.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed, it's just an easier album to listen to.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I do think it's like, if you have an album on in your house, while you're just wandering around, for instance, or going about your day, I think Drake is way easier to have in the background than Kanye.
And Kanye stans aren't happy about it. Kai, who's on the group chat team,
Pissed.
It's just relentlessly sending me text messages about, it's almost like how Trump got the election stolen from him.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Quote unquote, is how he feels about Drake 2Xing.
I agree. There's a lot of like, well, Kanye dropped his album at 8 a.m. Kanye dropped his album on Sunday, dude. It doesn't even count.
So yeah.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of the election stolen.
I'm assuming Drake's playing on your speakers regularly?
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, if I hit play right now on my Sonos, it'd be Drake.
It's great. I love it.
It's good. We did talk about, though, like, how'd you feel? Like, my honest criticism was I still love the album. I still thought it was a great album. But to me, it kind of lacked that, like, like that God's Plan record or that, that big moment.
Yeah, no, I listened to it one time through and I was like, kind of disappointed in my opinion on the album because I want to love it so much.
Yeah.
And then I kept listening to it, and a few people had told me, like, just keep listening to it, you'll like it. And I did, and now it's just like, it's just so easy to have, but it doesn't have that like smash record. But that also is a sign of the times of when he was recording. It's not like clubs were popping the last 18 months.
I agree.
And it's not like we were all out and about and everyone got to like experience Coachella and Art Basel and all these things.
Yeah.
So it kind of reflects the time.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess from that perspective, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like we were all at home. This is an at-home record, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think we talked about that too yesterday. Like I think for a guy like Drake, you go a whole year and a half without like catching a vibe. And like you kind of lack a little bit of that spark to make, like what you're saying, to make those big records. Like, I don't know. That was my critique. It felt like it lacked that edge. But maybe you're right. Maybe it's because the guy was sitting in freaking Toronto for a year and a half and had COVID at least once.
Yeah, now that he's back at it, expect some bangers.
Okay. All right. I like that. That's an optimistic outlook.
Can I give you the woke take on the Drake album? Oh my God. You're gonna love / like vomit on this take.
What do we got?
I
thought Drake was immune.
I wish Tim was here. The woke take was, oh yeah, look at what's going on the last 18 months and he's still like sad about his girls leaving or whatever. Like,
what?
That was a real take. They wanted him to like talk politics. Like, guess what? Drake's never talked politics in rap. Has he?
No, never.
Mm-mm.
He literally said one time, our president doing us in. That's the boldest political stance he's ever taken.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I also said this on the other one is at the same time, there's a lot of hype and bubbling that that Kendrick is about to put out something. And so maybe he's the guy, if that's what you're looking for.
Kendrick.
Maybe he'll give you some politically.
I feel like he's going to have way more pressure to address this stuff politically.
Oh, yeah. If he doesn't, people would be outraged.
Yes.
We'll see. But I think Kendrick's your guy. If that's what you're going for, is that stuff, I think Kendrick will cover it. They posted his like records that he was registering with ASCAP, and they had some pretty like crazy names. Like I think one was called like Hangman's Noose, and like, you know, they seem pretty charged.
That it's going to be interesting. Does he go all the way in? Like he's self-admittedly on the Keem record said he's been quiet.
Yeah.
So
and he said he's been avoiding the overnight activist.
So is this the long-term activism?
I don't know. We'll see. It's a great time for music. All this beef created between Kanye and Drake created a great week of music. And then it looks like we have Kendrick soon.
Yeah, let's see.
Lucky us.
I'm excited.
Okay, let's talk about some real news. I'm broke now. So I'm broke now.
Is that why you couldn't get in the office? The gas money was a little low?
Gas money. Seriously, gas is up. I'm broke. I figured I'd just stay home. You told me, Drama, put whatever you got in cash, put it into Bitcoin. That's what you told me. And so I did that. And the last week I was like on and on and on. And like we were just climbing 51, 52, 53,000. And all of a sudden I wake up this morning, I'm poor. I can't afford gas. We're tanking. Can you tell me what's going on?
Yes.
And not only Bitcoin, Ethereum, Coinbase.
Everything.
Everywhere where my cash is.
So at around 7:15 a.m. Pacific time, I'm just like kind of getting ready for the day, brushing my teeth. And then I start seeing text messages fly in. It's crashing. It's crashing. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I love how everyone comes to you.
Yeah, everyone blames me when they lose money.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do that.
And so, I stop everything I'm doing for about 15, 20 minutes. Like, what the hell is going on? So I'm looking, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are like whipsaws. Like Ethereum specifically went from pretty much near 4,000 the night before, and I think it bottomed at 3,100. So it was like 25% correction over in like the span of 20 minutes.
Mhm.
And then Bitcoin was going down, and then all the alts were getting slaughtered. Solana, which a lot of people DM and text me about, which is like an alternative to Ethereum, actually was like the only one that was somewhat in the green at the time.
Yeah.
And there's no real catalyst for this, like macro level. If I had to guess what was going on is we have all the NFT tourists from the last 60 to 90 days, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of people globally that have figured out in the last 3 to 4 months how to get leverage on their tokens. And I think that increasingly happened in the last 3 weeks. So obviously there's some savvy people that were levered at like Ethereum 1700, Ethereum 1800. And the thing with leverage is the moment there's small corrections. So if you think about what was peak NFT like 2 weeks ago, would you say? 3 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks
Well, I don't
ago?
know. I feel like it's current. We covered a story yesterday about someone who flipped a CryptoPunk. Was that a CryptoPunk?
Yeah,
Jason?
yeah, it was like 3.2 million to 5.6 million in a
Okay,
couple
yeah,
hours.
that's
in
like
6 hours.
the high end, but like the random cats that are going for whatever. So here's my point. It was basically like I think a lot of people got in levered on Ethereum, Bitcoin, you name it,
Yeah.
started playing the NFT game. NFT games primarily Ether, and small price changes. So if you bought Bitcoin at like 3,900 and you started leveraging against that to juice your returns, because kids have figured out leverage.
That's scary.
Yeah, they absolutely figured it out. So like a 3 to 4% swing turns into a 15 to 20% swing automatically, because the way DeFi works, it's auto liquidate. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a client of Goldman Sachs and you're levered against a stock position.
Okay.
And let's say you're not like a billionaire, like a millionaire that's levered against a stock position. Let's say the stock craters in like the matter of a day or two. Realistically, if you're not a billionaire that could take down the bank, you have 5 to 6 days to cover your position.
Yeah.
So you can borrow from friends, you could sell your house, you can do whatever, sell your other positions, but it's not like an instant thing. If you're like that guy, Billy Huang, who we talked about earlier in the year, that it was too big to fail. Like all his positions get liquidated immediately. But the thing with DeFi is it's all decentralized. So it's not like you can call your like UBS banker and be like Goldman banker, like, hey, give me 2 days, I'll get the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatic. So a 3-4% change automatically sells all your Ethereum. They don't care about what price they're selling at. So they could be selling it at whatever clearing market price is just to get your coins. And then that cascades. And that's what appears to have happened in the crypto market this morning. There was a small price correction, maybe some whales sold, but then it caused everyone's levered. So small price changes turn into large price changes. And then it takes like massive funds to come in and say like, oh, we just see, they can see on the blockchain what's going on. It's like a bunch of people getting liquidated on their leverage and they just pile back in. So if you look at it at 3,100, it whipsawed back to 3,400 in like minutes. Because they're like, oh, great, a bunch of newbies came in levered and they all got smoked.
Got smoked. I can't believe. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a change, but it's just so volatile, man. I feel like the last week, what is it? The last week. Yeah, I mean, really the last 2 weeks, we were on a run. Every day I was like, here it comes again. Like we're about to have this slow build that's going to like, reach new peaks. And then you wake up and it's like, oh shit, totally different story than what you planned.
Yeah. And
I guess over the last month, we're still up quite a bit.
Yeah. And I think people that get into this space, if you're going to lever, just realize you're now in the casino. You're no longer just like betting long on cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's why I'm torn with this. Like we had a conversation months ago about how everyone should have access to leverage just like banks do, which I get that argument, but I also get the other argument that like it's just people, to me, it's like owning a gun. Like you should have to pass some sort of test to have access to leverage. Because it can just wipe out normal people, and it's so enticing. It seems like free money.
Yeah, and I think I'm very curious if you were to like roam the Reddit boards today, how many kids just got smoked?
Yeah, they just go quiet though. You don't see it.
Yeah, they just disappear.
Yeah, there's not a thread like I got smoked today. Me too.
Because in this case, it doesn't matter if you're a whale or not a whale. Everyone has access to leverage with DeFi. You could be betting $1,000 and levering up, 2, 3x, 50x, depending on what service you're at, and you're probably at zero today.
That's dangerous.
And you're at zero, and then it bounces back. So
that's the trick. It wipes you out and then bounces back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think this is like I think a lot of tourists came to crypto land in the last 3 to 6 months because of NFTs.
Yeah.
And this was a wake-up call this morning. Like, hey, it's not everything goes up 24 hours a day. And I wonder, does this 25% in 25 minutes? It was literally, I woke up, by the time I finished brushing my teeth, it was down from 2-3% to 25%.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the only explanation, right? It's something like that. Because it's not like that many people are just piling on and selling.
No. And I wonder, how does this affect people that are new to the space?
Well, they're sketched.
You would think, right?
Yeah, I think everyone gets super scared. But I think, look, over time, it's going in the right direction. Meaning, like, I think that that's also weeding out all the BS. Because it's just, look, I think that the people who are a little bit skeptical of crypto but think that it is the future, I think they're probably okay. I think they hold. But I think that the people that thought crypto, like, they could use leverage and it, like, gain a quick, 5x return, I think it's scaring those people off from learning that you can't do that, which is probably ultimately a good thing. This is probably like a bit of a cleansing process. That's
also what we've talked about, the mentality of younger people, that they want to be millionaires overnight. So it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of Warren Buffett's favorite quote. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
Yeah, well, all these guys are smarter than old Warren. I'm just saying. Hey, listen,
Did Jason stutter like he might be?
You think he might be, Jason?
No.
You think maybe Warren's aged out and you know something he doesn't?
I do not. No comment on this. I am not getting into that. No, I do not think I'm smarter than Warren.
Well,
Warren
how the hell are
Buffett.
you going to make $1 million how long do you have? A year?
2 years. 2 years.
But you don't have a plan, right?
Decentralized finance.
He's on leverage.
So you're going to time the market. Yeah, you're on leverage trying to do the opposite of what Warren's saying.
Trying to not get smoked.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck. This is the thing. I woke up and instantly started blaming El Salvador.
My people.
Yeah, Jason's getting hit left, right,
I'm sorry,
and center.
Jason. I'm sorry, bro.
Getting
but all
beat
of a
up.
sudden, it doesn't seem a little strange that all of a sudden Bitcoin becomes the national currency of El Salvador officially. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing red all over my Coinbase.
And all of a sudden, Salvadorian Jason becomes a millionaire in a couple of years? No, I'm kidding.
Well, what happened? Do you think so? There's no relation to that.
No,
right,
there's
Anna?
no relation to that. I think El Salvador had previously announced, as we discussed on this podcast a couple months ago, that they were going to put a portion of their national currency reserve at Bitcoin. And they were, I think, one of the first countries to do so. And then now they've basically gone full blown. This is part of the country. There's even like a Bitcoin beach in El Salvador where you only use Bitcoin.
Wow.
And they've just embraced it. And it's great. Jason, do you still have family in El Salvador?
Not that I frequently speak to. No, not
Got
anymore.
it. But maybe new guy needs to go back to the homeland and get on the ground and tell us what's going on in Bitcoin land in El Salvador.
Some live coverage.
Yeah.
I can do that.
The same way Al Roker was bracing the hurricane Ida.
I agree. Maybe that's your path to that $1 million in 2 years, Jason. Maybe you become some sort of El Salvador Bitcoin mogul.
Yeah, some like Bitcoin tycoon.
You take what you learn here on group chat back to the motherland and just build an empire.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of countries do this. This is like, especially in the developing world, this isn't going to be uncommon. I think El Salvador made a bold first step but it's a bold first step in the right direction, because you got to also realize, like, if you're a developing country, and if your country's somewhat unstable, meaning like governments change often, there could be potentially military coups, they primarily just rely on the US dollar. But if you see the way the US is actually kind of Afghanistan being very plain and center, forget politics aside, it's like we're no longer just going to be the world's like police force. Like everyone's got to figure it out on their own, is essentially what we've done in Afghanistan. So you have the world's most powerful country saying that. So you have to diversify against the US dollar, because you can't be completely lenient on the US dollar. So Bitcoin is this like obvious alternative for developing countries to diversify their national currency. Yeah, you can't abandon the US dollar, but you need, what if you get left for dead? So what are you going to do? Like Bitcoin's a great alternative.
Yeah.
And the volume's there.
Well, I'm all about it. I just don't like the coincidence,
right,
that all of a sudden we take a tumble after this happens. There are literally articles saying that like they're related somehow, even though I know that they're not. There's like a lot of people are saying that.
That's the problem with like financial news. I think Dee always brings up this example with the Robb Report. Like, why would you listen to some writer that isn't a billionaire to tell you where billionaires vacation? Like, why don't you just talk to billionaires where they vacation?
Yep, that's true.
So it's similar. Like, why are we relying on a Bloomberg staff writer to explain the crypto markets when that Bloomberg staff writer just learned what crypto was in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I agree.
And so they find these like
group chat.
They find these like easy, like, oh, let's peg correlation, not causation, because I'm fairly certain this was a leverage wipeout, and I'm fairly certain that's not covered on any major news network.
Well, that's just too intricate for any of them to understand.
Yeah, because there's no like clear, nothing happened. There was no news.
Yeah. Well, also, I also just feel like even the concept of that happening, like you said, like if most of these people aren't experts, the people writing these articles, that's too intricate of an explanation for them to even understand what happened. So it's much easier to be like, well, El Salvador, it's that. And that happened at the same time. Look at this.
And guess what gets the clicks? You blame it on El Salvador as opposed to like, hey, let's understand leverage.
Yeah, no, that's too hard. Way too much work. I'm just trying to get rich. Can you tell me where to find the crypto punk?
No, so just to explain leverage really quickly, because I know it could be complicated.
Maybe you could save a listener.
Okay, so let's say you put 10%. Let's say you have a $100 position. You have $10 of equity, meaning $10 of cash you outlaid. Okay, and you leverage yourself to 10 to 1 to get $100. So all you need is for the stock or asset, cryptocurrency, whatever it is, to go down 10% for you to lose your entire position. Yep. And you have to, and if you've borrowed that money, you have to come up with that cash.
Yeah.
And so in the crypto market, coming up with that cash is meaning you've put collateral up. So you've put Ether up that you have to borrow 90% against it. That Ether that you put up is automatically gone the moment there's a 10% correction.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Makes sense. That would wipe out a bunch of new traders.
Yep.
Okay. What about, have you seen this story about Tolosa? I believe it's called Tolosa. It's an idea for a city in the United States, somewhere in the desert. So, Nevada, something like that. Designed and conceptualized by Mark Lohr. And it's a $400 billion city that's like, it's like the best city ever. It's diverse. They have an unlimited sustainable water supply. Everything's sustainable. 0 emissions. 15 minutes gets you anywhere in the city because of the design. You can go to work. You can go to school. You can go everywhere in 15 minutes. Mark Lohr, he has this idea. It's going to be the best thing ever. He just needs to come up on $400 billion and he'll make it happen.
Yeah, so this is a concept that I think isn't new among like tech circles, because I can actually share a story. This is back in 2012. So I know Mark Lore is getting all the press. I don't know when. I don't think it's his original idea. I think he's running with it because now he's a billionaire and doesn't care. So for people to know, Mark Lore, I believe, started diapers.com and sold it to Amazon, and then started jet.com and sold it to Walmart. So, he's made a ton of money, but he doesn't come from like the structural society of like how to build cities. Right. Yeah. And Anthony and I were at a famous Silicon Valley barbecue where a bunch of CEOs come, and we got invited. This is right when we got into Silicon Valley, and it was all these like big shots. Like Zuck was there, Sheryl Sandberg was there, and there was a conversation that I heard Balaji Srinivasan, who was ultimately the CTO of Coinbase, early crypto guy. He's now moved to Asia, talking to Larry Page, the founder of Google. And me and Anthony were like 5 feet away and just like trying to listen to what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And this guy Balaji actually described this whole concept of how there's too much regulation in the US. So Mark Lore wants to do this in the US, but there's too much regulation in the US, and we should go build a new city. We should do it in Mongolia. We should do it in these like remote parts of the world that if we show up with money, he's actually talking to the founder of Google and talking about how cryptocurrency should be the currency, how we should be all electric cars, how we should do all these things, and like we can set the model how this can work. So why don't we go build this out in some remote part of the world, show how incredible of a city this can be, and then model it back to the US. This was in 2012.
Yeah.
This is before anyone was thinking about, anyone realizing how fucked up the world was going to turn into.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
let's get to it. I just feel like, why not? Like you could go prove it, because that's the only way you're going to, it sounds to me like as fast as climate change is coming, there's almost nothing we can do. It's kind of how it's starting to sound. Like what we'd have to do to turn it around and somehow get China on board and do all this stuff feels almost impossible. But it does feel to me like if you had a proof of concept somewhere in the world, that would potentially be a shot, maybe the only shot.
And I like how he wants to do it in the US, because we're clearly, we're basically in this new nationalized world where it's basically every country for themselves. Like you can't even like travel like easily, like to a lot of places in the world now, post-COVID world. And I don't know when that's ending. So it's smart to want to launch this experiment in the US. And honestly, $400 billion isn't that much, given we printed $6 trillion. If $400 billion, which is a fraction of what we spent in the first 12 months of the pandemic to test a concept to make the country like significantly better, why wouldn't the government do it? And the answer is bureaucracy, sure. Yeah. So now you have to go to private funding. And then now you're going to have to go to Bezos and Elon and all these guys to be like, they're the only ones that are rich enough to fund this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It would just be so cool. And I could see it, like I just could see it happening. I mean, imagine how sick it would be if Bezos, Bill Gates, Zucks, Elon, like all the guys, Larry Page or whatever, all teamed up and made the ideal future city, and even set up like how the operations of how does it work? How does the little mini government work? Meaning, of course, you couldn't go outside of the US government, but the point is like, how do the operations of the city work? How's the DMV work? How's the trash collection work? I just feel like, it would be so cool. And it would be such a way to prove that it's possible.
In an ideal world, I think if we treated this like a fund and like Bezos, Elon, Zuck, Larry Page, Steve Ballmer, he's worth $100 billion.
Yeah.
They're the general partners, and they're like the general partners that go to the US government and say, we'll put up 20% of the capital, you fund the rest.
Yeah. That would be so cool.
That in an ideal world would be awesome.
All right. Well, I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope. I don't know why Mark Lore got the credit, but whatever. Maybe he did something. He knows how to make shit happen. I don't know, but it'd be great to see. Okay. What about there's these fires up north, speaking about problems and, climate change and operational issues. Crazy fires up near like Lake Tahoe, up north of us. And the story in particular that we have, I think, aren't these like biggest fire in California history type stuff?
It seems like every year is surpassing the previous one. So
agreed. So I think we have another one of those situations. And the story that we have here is that people evacuated because the fire was coming. And it was just like, Thanksgiving for the bear population.
Right.
They just moved in and ate everyone's food. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah, so everyone evacuated, including the sanitation services. So garbage wasn't picked up for like 5-6 days. Yeah. And it appears that bears have raided Lake Tahoe, ravaging everyone's garbage. Unclear if anyone knows if they've damaged the homes because no one's there.
They got to be like in houses and stuff.
They have to be, right?
Yeah.
How hard is it for a bear to break some glass?
It's easy. I've seen videos of bears like turning doorknobs.
Yeah, there you go.
Bears are sketchy.
So on top of all the problems we talk about, who the incoming California governor or Newsom would have to deal with, like you have the fires, now you have the bears.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why all you're going to get for that role is crazy people, because who wants to deal with that?
Who wants to deal with bears ravaging?
The bear problem in Tahoe. Like imagine when people can't go back to their houses because like the fire passes and you're like, I don't know, there's bears in everyone's house. God.
Yeah, how would you like comfortably go back to Lake Tahoe knowing that there's like a bear issue?
I think you'd need, I don't know. I think you'd have to like be like poke around your house and look for broken windows first.
Yeah.
And make sure there's not a bear in your bedroom. And then you'd have to move in like wildlife, move in with like the darts and just put those bears to sleep.
Darts, there's bear spray too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Last but not least, we didn't talk about this on yesterday's episode because it was kind of happening as we were recording. But unfortunately, to end with some depressing news, Michael K. Williams passed away. He was found in his, I think, Brooklyn apartment. It looks like, he was in his 50s.
He was 54, yeah.
54. So instantly you start thinking, what happened there. It looks like drugs. Looks like an overdose. Apparently there was drug paraphernalia around him when he was found. So, number one, tragic. This guy was an absolute genius and incredible actor. But also I think, like I saw yesterday on Twitter, fentanyl trending. Because I think it was, I don't know that they know that for sure yet that that's what caused it, but fentanyl is what causes a lot of overdoses these days. Do you know anything about it? Have you heard anything I haven't? I know you were a huge fan of Michael, especially in The Wire.
Yeah, of course. One of the greatest characters in television history.
Yeah, Omar.
And very revolutionary character because he was a gay black guy in the hood.
A long time ago, too.
This is early 2000s.
Yeah.
This is like before this was like socially accepted the way it is today. And still was beloved back then, which shows you the power of the character and obviously his acting. Yeah. Because I don't remember him getting any heat from when The Wire came on as that character. He was instantly like top few characters that people loved. Yeah.
That was a bold move by those writers too.
Yeah.
For him to take the role and for the writers to write that in and make that pass. And I feel like that character was like, people loved that character.
Yeah, no. I think if you were to pull like Wire fans, he's definitely like in the top couple, if not the top of characters. He also lasts the longest, spoiler alert. But I was reading up on kind of his life, and he admitted publicly that after the third season of The Wire, the role took such a toll on him that he turned to drugs. And I don't know if he was dabbling in drugs before then, but then he started battling with addiction. Said he showed up to a church wherever he lives, and he expected the pastor to know who he was. The pastor was like, "Why does everyone keep calling you Omar, Omar, Omar when you walk in?" And he's like, "Oh wow, the pastor literally has no idea who anything about The Wire or anything."
Yeah.
And so it sounds like this is something he's been battling for quite some time, because you're talking about third season of The Wire. That was like 15, 16 years ago, probably?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, if not more.
I think more, maybe.
Yeah, maybe more, maybe 20 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super sad. Great, like incredible talent. And it's just scary that like how drugs can turn south really quickly.
Yeah. Especially fentanyl, man. The scary thing about fentanyl is I think there's one thing when you're doing so many drugs or so much drugs that you OD, right? Like, or I think a very common thing is you stop for a while and then you relapse and you go back to the old amount you used to take. And that's how a lot of people OD. But it feels like to me with fentanyl, you can take an amount that normally would be fine, but the fentanyl kills you.
So there's a story, I don't know if you saw, in Venice, California, 3 comedians were doing coke on Friday. 2 died, one's in the hospital, and apparently they bought cocaine, but it was laced in fentanyl.
Yeah.
And
that's common.
So is that a drug dealer trying to maximize profit and just making it cheaper?
Yeah.
For them? Like cost benefit and out. Like I'm not being insensitive. I'm trying to like...
Yeah. It just, you just cut it with it and it makes it really, really like potent, but not, I mean, look, I've never done coke. I don't know how fentanyl would like be a part of that experience, right? Because I believe coke is more of like a, like coke's more like a upper, right?
Sure.
Like a Adderall, right? Where I think fentanyl is more of like, it's a synthetic opioid. So I don't understand exactly how that would enhance the experience, but yeah, you cut it with that because it's cheap and it fucks you up.
But
and
are
so
the people
like,
buying it knowing it's laced with fentanyl? So that's very different.
Yeah.
Because if you think
that's
about...
what I'm saying. That's why it's so tragic, because people think, oh, this is the same dose that I've done for years, no big deal. But because the fentanyl, or maybe the mixture's bad, maybe there's a little bit more fentanyl even than what the dealer usually does. You know what I'm saying? There's such an X factor there.
That's super scary because, I mean, there's no secret in the party scenes in LA, New York, Miami, cocaine is like rampant. Cocaine is a very commonly used drug by people when they party late. And if they now are buying cocaine thinking they're doing what they used to do, and now they're buying it and it's laced with fentanyl.
Yep. I think that's very, very common. So I went through some of the fentanyl thread, because I read that book that you recommended me, Fentanyl Inc. And I read another one called Dope Sick that's very similar. But so I am fascinated by the whole topic. So I clicked on the fentanyl link, and a lot of people were saying, I didn't read enough to know what the link is, but a lot of people were saying, do not do coke or any of that, any hard drugs until COVID is over, because there's some sort of uptick in fentanyl-laced things. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know what relation that would have to anything, but there were literally people like pleading, like, do not do hard drugs. Let this pass. Like apparently there's like a wave happening where there's more fentanyl. And they sell like at-home fentanyl strips where people will get coke. They'll test it to make sure there's no fentanyl in it first before they do it for the night. I think it's really, really common. I think there's a lot of people dying taking doses of drugs that would have guaranteed otherwise been totally fine.
So that means it's just easier for fentanyl to get into the country, to mix it with coke to keep the same supply than the original cocaine that was coming into the country.
Yeah, and look, the reason why I don't know is because the main thing that happens now is Mexico buys it from China and Mexico cuts it there. So before it even comes here from Mexico.
So there might be increasing their supply.
Yeah, or maybe the supply is, maybe the cocaine supply is tough because of COVID, like the same way distribution, like the same way the ports are crowded and even just getting anything here is tough. maybe the cocaine supply is tough, and so they're doing a lot more cutting to maximize what they can ship. I don't know, but the main flow is China to Mexico. Mexico cuts it in, and then they send it here.
You know what's crazy? This happened on the 3-year anniversary of Mac Miller's death as well.
To the day?
I think it's one day off. Mac Miller was today, and then Michael was yesterday.
Yeah, I believe that's the story with Mac Miller. I have no idea for sure, but I believe that Mac Miller, I think that was a fentanyl thing.
Yeah, it was.
And I think that was like...
but was it fentanyl? Fentanyl is heroin, right?
Fentanyl is synthetic opioid, so it's made in a lab, but to mimic the effects of opioids.
So I guess my question is, are people who do these drugs thinking they're doing drugs and get duped with fentanyl, or they're seeking the fentanyl?
No, I'm telling you, they're getting duped. Look, some people seek fentanyl, like heavy users. Definitely seek fentanyl. But no, the main thing is that people get duped. Because you have to understand, I told you this before, I think, but so sorry if I'm repetitive for you or the listener, but like when people overdose, the other users try to find out who the dealer was that supplied the drugs that made that person overdose, because it must be good. It must be really potent.
Wait.
And so when somebody overdoses, that is actually good marketing for the dealer. So in that world, if somebody overdoses on heroin, the question is, who's their dealer? Because that must be some good shit.
Not, hey, maybe I should go with the less potent stuff and not die?
Correct. Because you build up such a tolerance that you just need anything to make you feel that original high again. And fentanyl apparently does that. Apparently fentanyl makes you feel like heroin. You start and it feels amazing, but at a certain point, like it kind of just stops withdrawal symptoms. It doesn't actually feel that good. And you're always just kind of chasing that high and trying to get rid of your withdrawal symptoms. I believe that fentanyl always gives you that high feeling. So people just are chasing that high feeling. They're not worried about whether there's fentanyl in it, whether there's not, whether there's whatever, or like someone could just be taking some painkillers recreationally and there's fentanyl in the pill. Like the pills, if the pills are black market pills, there's fentanyl in there.
If you had to guess, at least in the party scene, forget like, a lot of the country that opioids have completely ravaged, because that's a whole different topic. I'm just talking about the party scene, the people that go out, that OD. Where is the line they got duped and they accidentally OD'd, or they were just like major addicts and it was going to happen at some point?
So the party scene, I would say 95% got duped.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
because we've seen.
I don't think recreational users are searching for fentanyl. I think a very small amount, because I think once you get to that level, you're an avid drug user. And I think there's a lot of like someone went out and they did a couple lines, or I don't know how much it takes, because that's what you would normally do, and there's no problems, and you end up dead because of fentanyl. Like when I hear the story about the comedians, that's what I'm guessing happened to them.
Yeah, they probably were just like partying and were like, I had a few drinks.
Yeah. I think that doing hard drugs right now is really sketchy. I think it's a little bit of Russian roulette.
Crazy.
I think that's what it sounds like. But who knows? Any of our drug user listeners, hit us up. Let us know what's really going on out there. Because
it just seems anecdotally it's increasing amongst like high profile people in the last, 2 years.
I think that's why. I think it's the accidents is why. It's the people that didn't know, which is insane. Because look, not that like any overdose, of course, is devastating and terribly sad, but like someone who just recreationally was actually being responsible, like in the sense of,
sure, I know what you're saying,
right? And then you overdose because you didn't know what was in the pill or the coke or the heroin or whatever. That's just crazy. So anyway, I don't know, but I'm sure we will learn some more about the Michael K. Williams story. Apparently, cops are looking for the drug dealer that supplied him the drugs. But either way, I mean, what a just tragic tragic loss. I mean, the guy was just an incredible, talented person. And there's a lot of like quotes and stuff that he had said out of movies. Like he just was a really smart guy, you know, and really seems like stood for the right things. And
I mean, the real issue is you find the drug dealer. Sadly, the drug dealer just is one layer on the supply chain. You need to go deeper to be like, why is there fentanyl in all these drugs?
Yeah, I think the only way that could work is if you start punishing drug dealers super heavily, it would incentivize the drug dealers to test their own drugs.
Sure, yeah.
And be responsible. Because if you if you deal those out and someone dies, you're going to pay for it. Because you can test. There's literally at-home strips that I think are pretty easy to use that will tell you. Okay. Last but not least, do you have anything? Do you have anything for Seen on Social? Do you have anything in the last week that you've seen on social media everyone needs to know?
Yeah. The GOAT's at it again. Drake is taking over music duties for Monday Night Football this season. Wow. So it'll be a compilation of his new songs, classics, other songs that we played in the telecast to get all of us hyped every Monday night to watch our football.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good news. The GOAT is definitely at it. I can't wait to see his final first week numbers. Because I feel like, too, like people are going to be streaming that thing all week on repeat. I would say my Seen on Social, you don't know my Seen on Social, which I don't have much info on it because I literally just scrolled, by it. But did it come out in a Freedom of Information Act that Fauci officially lied about funding gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab? Did you see that?
I've seen some bubblings on Twitter.
Yeah. But
I thought it was confirmed. Like, because he's been across multiple administrations. Sure, my source is that one Rogan episode where it's like, we knew Fauci was funding this.
Yes. I think it's officially... Look, I could be wrong here because once again, it was just on social media, but I think it officially came out that he was funding it for sure. And I also saw that he said, like hospitals are starting to get overwhelmed again. Like they're starting to talk about that again.
Yep.
Like, hey, we need to talk about, but like hospitals are starting to have to make the decision of who would get treatment and not. Which is crazy because it seems like, I mean, when you're out and about, it is buck wild. Clubs, everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally different than the first attempt.
It says there are internal documents that were leaked that detail the work of EcoHealth Alliance, an American research nonprofit which used NIH funding to research novel bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So it sounds like it's contradicting everything that Fauci said. I think you're correct.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. That's what I gathered. We'll learn about it for the next episode. But I think Joe Rogan is, even though the vaccine stuff, I don't think he handled very well. He has leaked some pretty or been the first to talk about some pretty big topics, and it's pretty crazy that guest of his did talk about it like pretty frankly, like yeah, everyone knows that, but now it does seem like it's getting like proven.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's just tough to reconcile his last few weeks of comments because I want to agree with you.
I know. All right, well, he's back. He just put out an episode talking about his COVID experience.
Did he?
Yeah. I just saw the clip. I didn't listen yet. We'll see. Okay, that's all we got. Anything else we're missing? Any shout-outs?
I don't have any shout-outs today.
No shout-outs.
Okay, well, good stuff. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back. Maybe we have Dee remote. Dee's in New York, but maybe we'll have Dee remote.
We'll have a live update from New York Fashion Week from Dee.
Okay, good stuff. Okay,
on the ground.
See you Thursday. On the ground, live, and hopefully we hear from Jason straight from the streets of El Salvador.
Yes, everyone's on the road.
Everyone's on the road. Okay, we'll see you guys.
Peace.